Back in 2015, I had finished reading a book called An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth, written by Colonel Chris Hadfield, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It was very thought-provoking, inspirational, challenging, and it made you really think about things in a different way. The title insinuates that an astronaut might know a thing or two about life that you haven't thought of, and we can guess why. I mean, when you get into this massive machine that is probably bigger than anything you've ever seen before, as far as something that could put you on a trajectory to anywhere, and then go into orbit, and you get to take a gander at the universe around you from that point of view, and then look down the big blue marble where you live. You're gonna think about things in a much different way, and he did. And so he's able to provide a perspective that I think most of us could benefit from, which is why he wrote the book. And you can find him on YouTube, all over the place. He does a lot of public speaking. I think I first found out about him on TED Talks. He's known for having played his guitar on the International Space Station. I think he's flown in space twice. He was the first Canadian to walk in space. So he's got some accomplishments behind his belt. I think he's worth listening to. The credentials are there. So back in 2015, I was sharing excerpts of his book on Facebook. I was in the habit of posting a quote a day on there. But in this case, I actually, relayed whole passages because they were just so rich. And so I'm going to share one of these with you today. And I'll probably share more. I've actually been intending to do this for quite a long time because I really like this guy a lot. Here's something that he said that you might want to consider and ponder in your own life. From his book, here's what he's got. He said, "Understanding my place in the grand scheme of the universe has helped me keep my own successes in perspective. But it hasn't made me so modest that I can no longer bear applause. I bear it just fine and actually get a kick out of the hoopla around launch and landing. Still, I also know that most people, including me, tend to applaud the wrong things, the showy, dramatic record-setting sprint, rather than the years of dogged preparation or the unwavering grace displayed during a string of losses. Applause, then, never bore much relation to the reality of my life as an astronaut, which was not all about, or even mostly about, flying around in space. It was really about making the most of my time here on Earth." Now think about what he said. It helped him to think about his own successes in perspective. I liked his humility here in admitting that he actually liked the hoopla around launch and landing. I mean, who wouldn't? He was just being very real here. But he also kept in mind that he knew that people probably weren't applauding the right thing. And I think that, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I think a lot of us have these ideas in mind of things we want to do with our life, and we just hope that we can get some applause somewhere along the way. And if we can't, then we hope that maybe in retrospect, after we pass on, people will look at our life and respect us, and finally appreciate us and clap their hands for us, even though they might be looking back. We're just hoping for anything we can get, right? But most people don't know us very well, and we don't know others as well as we'd like to think that we do. And so if we could get really, really close and take a microscope to things, we might discover that we're not looking at the right things that would help us appreciate others or help us to esteem others in higher regard. We don't see the hard work that people put in. It's not so glorious. It's just not pretty. It's not sexy. He was saying that in his book that they spend months and months and months rehearsing every possible disaster that could possibly happen out in space. They go over and over again so that if it should occur, they're ready. And I think he also talked about, there's these books out called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. And he said with an astronaut training, it's just the opposite. They do sweat small stuff. They think about every small thing that could happen because it is the small things that could absolutely send everything into a tailspin, so to speak. And so they spend all this time doing this, and it's just very laborious. It's stressful, and stuff that people wouldn't really want to know about. They just want to see the rocket launch. They want to see the men walk out on the platform. They want to hear the men talking from space and reporting wonderful things. And this is what gets talked about in history books and documentaries and so on and so forth. And this is what people applaud, but they're not, like he said, they're not really applauding the right thing. There is such a thing as appreciating somebody just for all the hard work they put into something. And the grace that they exhibit in their losses, provided they've done so. And that's what astronauts do train to do, is to be calm under pressure, which is one of the things that we ought to strive for in our own personal life, is to be strong and show some real grit when things don't go right. They constantly rehearse. And in fact, philosophers of old, like Epictetus and Seneca, they even talked about, imagine all, this negative visualization. Imagine all the horrible things that could occur. Imagine all the things that could go wrong in your day before you even walk out the door. Imagine how you're going to handle that rather than just finding out when it occurs. Purpose in your mind how you're going to deal with things, and then do so. And you'll find yourself performing with grace under pressure. Not that that's all that there is to say about this, but if you want to know what's worth applauding, these are the things that are the hard work, the grace under pressure. And so I hope that Colonel Chris Hadfield has given you something to think about. And I think that another thing we need to keep in mind is that we need to not only think about how we're living our life, the trajectory we're on. It's kind of hard for me to say when I have a dry mouth, but we need to think about other people too. And when we show our appreciation for them, when we clap our hands and we give them an attaboy, let them know it's not for the glorious things, it's not for the sexy things they've done, it's for all the hard work they put in. It's for how they've handled things. And you know what? That's going to make a big difference to somebody, because they're going to know that you were really paying attention, that you really understood, and you can relate to what they went through. Give that some thought. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. If you've read the book, let me know also. But I'm probably going to share more from him, and I hope that you can really start putting this into action. Move forward like this from now on. It's not all the big things. It's not all the wonderful things. It's just, be a good person. Get better and better every day, whether people clap or not. Somebody's going to notice somewhere along the way, and they're going to look up to you for all the right reasons. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me on this one. I will catch you later, but in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and if you feel like donating to this channel, you can do so. I'll leave a link down below for that. But I've appreciated you giving me a little bit of your time here, and I'll see you later. In the meantime, be wise.